Welcome to the O&G Spot, where we talk about sensitive topics in the industry. And I'm joined by the fabulous Julie Flowers today, and I'm super excited about this. We're going to be talking about why the advice of just be yourself maybe isn't the best advice you can get.
A little closer, let me spill the tea. You look so much better sitting close to me. Like, ooh, ooh.
For those of you who don't know Julie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, thank you. And thanks for having me, Jennifer.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. A little bit about myself. I'm going to start with my superpower. My superpower is helping women feel seen and heard. And I do that through multiple mediums. Podcasting, like you, speaking, but most importantly, one-on-one coaching or through classes to help women truly own and articulate their value and live their God-given purpose rather than just going through the motions, doing whatever job. And I love it. So I own my own company. It's called Elevate You Coaching. And I co-host a podcast called Savvy Sisters and Cocktail Conversations.
And if you haven't listened to it, you should definitely listen to it. It's great.
It's super fun. Mm-hmm. We have a good time, and we do it over cocktails.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and even today, just like being here, like I've been worried about this and that, and I've been mad at myself, and you're like, you got this. You got this. So encouraging, and I just love that.
Yeah.
And I feel like all women should be like that with each other.
Well,
we're so
for
critical
sure.
of each other.
We're about to do an episode on that, actually, how women... we're just so judgy and have perceptions and don't think about intentions. And why is that? You know, what is the rationale behind it and how can we change it?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just, I just even remember from elementary and middle school, I mean, it's always been in that. There's just always been the cliques. There's always been judgment. What are you wearing? How's your hair?
Yeah.
Are you in style? Like the right jewel? Like, and it's just, and I think it just carries that through adulthood. And you think that eventually we get that confidence.
Yeah.
And we would get over it. And we would just be ourselves and be able to just put ourselves out there. But we're still always doubting ourselves and judging
the cliques
ourselves.
still happen, I've found. Even in adulthood, which is weird, and I don't have time for that drama.
That's a different podcast.
And BS, that's a whole different pockets. But confidence comes from knowing your value, right, and taking action on that. And a lot of women struggle with that. So when they don't have it, they'll turn to judging. Mm-hmm. Yep. Podcast number 2.
Maybe we should I think definitely we should go there. So why do you think just be yourself became such common advice?
It became common advice because I think we in society, and particularly maybe in corporate America, that we started to stop seeing people and really trying to put them in a box, right? That you need to look this way. You need to act this way.
Speaking of look this way, I remember a conversation we had when we first met.
Yeah.
And you were talking about how you stopped wearing pink.
Yeah.
As in your professional role.
Oh, I stopped wearing certain kinds of outfits because I went to work and live in Africa, in Angola. Mm-hmm. And I was told to dial my presence down, my physical presence down. And I'm a girly girl, right? I wear pinks, I wear blue.
Which I love, yes.
And form-fitting clothing and so forth. And so I took that advice. But 3 months after being there and then Golan women getting to know my personality called me out on that and said, no, be yourself. You're fine. You know, and so I changed back to that. But I was put in a box. Mm-hmm. Show up this way, act this way, look this way. And that's what we tended to do for the majority of the years in corporate America and so forth. And it wasn't until I think the generation of millennials, which I am not, but I have huge respect for a lot of their qualities, was like, wait, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like me. And they started to challenge that in maybe not a good way or a good way, but people said, wait, I need to be me. And so it became this, how do I show up as my best self? How do I show up authentically? I want to show up as me. Don't tell me what to do or how to act or what to say. Mm-hmm. So that's where it came from, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I can relate to that, just trying to put yourself in a box. I remember, getting those first leadership roles. Yeah. And I wore a lot more black. I didn't wear my pink. I didn't wear a lot of jewelry at the time. And this is so going to sound funny, but I always wanted like a little nose ring.
Ah.
And for years, I never did because I would just thought, it's just not professional.
Right.
What are people going to think of me?
Can't have a tattoo. And I have a tattoo.
Exactly.
And now, because in a place where people can see it.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're both blonde and short, these things don't equate to corporate confidence and, especially if you're in a male populated industry and so forth. So put in a box.
And I feel like, and I don't know how this is going to come across, but I almost feel like when you are female, you like pink, you like to be girly, and you are an attractive female.
Sure.
I feel like women are trying to overcome that as well.
Absolutely.
Like it's not like
it's a lot.
You can't be assertive, attractive, smart, wear your pink and be girly all at the same time, because then you can't be professional.
Again, so you answered your own question. We've put people in this box, right? I had a friend tell me who worked at the company I worked for before too. She says, I love watching a room that doesn't know you because she's very perceptive and she sees body language, eye contact, all those things. She said, most of the men and some of the women too are looking you up and down, right? Probably saying similar things to what you said, and then judging you immediately that you don't have a brain. And then you start to speak and you see it shift.
Right.
But the just be yourself or authenticity, it came about more recently because we kept putting people in boxes. Now, hopefully you ask a question, has it swung too far? Yes, in my opinion. But there's a happy medium there.
So then why do you think it's gone too far, and why do you think necessarily it's not the best advice now?
So I thought about this, and I think I changed your podcast title to...
Okay, let's hear it.
And your podcast title is, go ahead, you say it. Or not this episode.
Oh, this episode?
Yeah.
Why the advice just to be yourself is not good advice.
And it's that, then you go ... It's not complete, meaning you're not giving the complete reason why, right? So just be yourself is not bad advice. It's just not complete, right?
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're going there.
Because we've said, and when this all came about, we were telling people just be yourself. And we thought that was a good thing. Not a bad thing, but you're not giving the full amount of advice that goes with that. So for example, I've seen tons of people say, I'm just being myself. I'm showing up as my authentic self. But they're being rude. Yes. It's not a license to be a jerk, people.
Exactly.
In fact, when you don't, if you show up yourself and you're a jerk or rude, that's not authenticity. That's not holding yourself accountable for your actions. And that's not fair to the receiver of whatever you're talking about or what you're trying to get across.
I think it's the best version of yourself. Just be the best version of yourself.
I think it's that right? Because even the best version of yourself on some people, let me start with, you want them, the person you're talking to, the room that you're in, it's all about connecting and how you want to be received. So the question is to yourself, how do I want to be received? How do I want to be experienced? And how do I want to connect with these people rather than just getting your opinion across or coming in hot, right? How many people do we know do that, right? They're coming in hot. They might have a good reason or issue or even point to get across, but how they're delivering it, no bueno, right? So it's more about thinking, how do I want to connect with this audience? And what is the message I want them to receive?
And that is wonderful advice. I had a mentor, probably one of my early leadership positions at a company, and he was a mentor outside of my company. And I would talk to him and I would be so frustrated, and I'd be in the board meeting and they just weren't listening to me. They weren't hearing what I had to say. Sure. And I was like, is it because I'm female? And I wanted to pull that card real quick. And he's like, before you go there, he's like, think about who you're presenting to. How are they processing the information? are you coming in prepared in a way that they're going to receive it?
Sure.
Are you confident in how you're speaking about it? Or are they dismissing you because you don't even believe yourself?
Sure. Absolutely.
And when he said that, I was like, it's perspective. Like, I need to focus on the individuals that I'm and how I want them to see me.
Right. Because people don't experience your intentions or perceive your intentions. They perceive and experience how you show up, right? And how they interpret what you're saying. That leads me to, my goodness, being yourself is one thing. However, communication is the bigger key, right? So how do we communicate? With our eyes, with our hands, with our voice, with our tone, with our delivery. So it's not just about showing up as your authentic self and how you state your opinion, but the nonverbals that are going with it and how you deliver that, huge, and how it lands with the audience.
So when did you first realize communication matters more than just the competence of the person?
Say that one more time. The communication matters more
than sometimes the competence of the person, because you could have the most competent person, but the way, like we were just talking about, like the way that you delivered, like, did you ever come across that earlier in your career? Did anyone ever maybe mentor you and tell you that, like, just, you have great ideas, but just in the way that you're presenting it, not necessarily like what you're wearing and things like that, but did you ever come across obstacles like that?
Absolutely. So early in my career, I'm a very direct person. And when I have an opinion or an idea, I was then tireless about getting my point across and getting you to believe in my opinion or strategy or idea or whatever. So I believe I wasn't coming in hot, rude, but I was coming in hot. Like, just hear my thought, just hear my not really understanding how it was landing. And so I got the advice early on, hey, your competence is, you know what you're doing, you've got great ideas, but how you're delivering them, the receiver isn't receiving them. Do you understand what that means, Julie? And it took me a hot minute to really get it and keep evolving and growing, right? Because I'm not trying to adapt my personality to the audience. I am trying to understand what they need to hear, what I want them to hear, and then how to do that in a way that they will actually hear it. They might not agree, and that's okay. But we'll both feel equally respected, right? So I got that advice early in my career, and my 3 decades worth of working in corporate America, don't do the math on my age, it was a constant evolution for me to keep, because true to myself, I'm still a very direct person, but I've learned how to deliver my message to adapt to the audience that's in front of me.
Oh, I love that. And I would even be in a board meeting and I would do a presentation. It didn't land just right. So then I would go back and, like, our next quarterly board meeting, I would do it in a different way and try to just tweak it a little bit. And you have to think, are the personality types you're dealing with, are they looking at numbers? How do they want the information presented? Because depending upon your nationality, that may, change how you deliver the message.
Sure.
So understanding all that, and you're being yourself, but you're learning and adapting to who you're presented to.
Absolutely. And the boardroom, to your example, is so diverse. You are not going to be all the things for all the people. So what's the common denominator of the experience you want them to have, and how to adapt, but not lose your who you are, because it's an evolution, to just adapt to that of what you're trying to get across.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and we were talking earlier about know who you're with.
Yeah.
And we were talking about cursing earlier.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't offend me, but I think people need to be aware of where they're at. If you're doing a presentation, don't be throwing out probably the F word every other word. And so I was talking about one of my sons, and being around his buddies, they would cuss a lot.
Yeah.
And I even told him, I said, it's not that I'm offended, but I want you to be aware when it's appropriate and when it's not, when it's okay to use it. Know your be aware of your surroundings
Sure.
and the company that you're in. And I think it just goes that you're still being yourself, but you're just being a little, more refined to the audience that you're with.
I've also had to do that with my youngest son with his humor, because that's something that I've had to learn too with my humor, when it's appropriate to joke and when it's not. In fact, when he was in, I think maybe 6th grade, maybe 5th grade, I don't know, young, we were called in to the teachers because he had 2 teachers, and we had to sit down. It was just my son and I, and they were trying to explain that Jacob's smart and funny and everybody loves him and he's a great kid. However, he often jokes a lot and it's not at the appropriate time. It's not inappropriate, it's just not at the appropriate time. So I looked across the table to these teachers and said, you're talking to the wrong parent because that's something I work on every day. But it was something I could coach my son on, is know your audience, know when to do it. He was being disruptive of the class.
Yeah.
It wasn't that the joke wasn't funny or whatever, but it was not the right timing. So it's the same for adults, right?
I think we should get our boys together sometime. And I'm like,
I know,
maybe
right?
we shouldn't.
Yeah, I know, right? For sure.
No, because mine was the same way. I remember getting a call that my son had broken down the bathroom stall in the bathroom.
Oh my goodness.
He's a larger boy, played college football, and he was in there, and I guess his buddy was in the bathroom. He started shaking the stall and like fell apart, and he was on lunch duty. Just things like that. They think it's funny, but again, not necessarily appropriate.
Yeah, our job to help them learn and grow, though.
Yes, as we learn and grow at the same time.
Learning and growing with them. Yep, evolving. Yeah.
Just making the best versions of themselves.
That's right.
Yeah. So we talk about read the room. We talk about know your audience. Do you have any tips or suggestions for that? Like when you walk into a room, what are some of the first things that maybe you see and notice, or do you maybe even do research ahead of time? I know obviously you do.
Yeah, I mean, not too much, because I don't want to be like scripted when I walk in the door, and it depends on the room I'm walking into, right? So if it's a conference, and I'm just there to socialize and learn, I want to know about what the conference is. I might look to see who's speaking, that way, the way I show up there is really just to listen and learn and connect with people. So when I walk in the door, it's who can I connect with, right? And sometimes I can tell it's the introvert in the corner that I need to help out. Or there's a group of women that I don't know and I want to get to know, right? So that's one way. If I'm walking into a formal kind of corporate meeting, now I'm going to do my homework a little bit more, especially if I'm presenting or it's my first time there, or if it's first time on a board. Those kinds of things, absolutely do some research. But the research you're doing is generally could be biased as well, right? Or one-sided, very formal. You don't really know. It's kind of like, you asked me to introduce myself. You didn't hear me say my title till the end, because my title tells you nothing, right? So I told you how I experience and what I do and everything versus telling you a title. Same when you're trying to learn about people. So I don't try to do too much research. But about knowing the room is doing maybe a little research. And then when you get in the room, learning and understanding body language and taking cues from the people in the room, okay? So it's not something you can just learn one time, and you might want to do some research on body language, and also never assume just because you're standing with your arms crossed that you're mad at me. But, there's all these things. But I try to really scan the room. It tells you a lot of where people are sitting for a meeting.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that real quick, because I'm curious.
Yeah. It tells you, like, sitting at the head of the table. If you're the leader, someone's got a little bit of an ego. Most leaders, effective leaders, are sitting off to the side or in the middle of a table with others. If you're sitting close to the leader, sometimes that's the only chair open. So that's why I'm saying these aren't absolutes. Yeah. But could be someone who's got their ear, right, their advisor, or someone who wants their ear, right? So there's all kinds of science around where people sit, but it's also around how they walk up to you or not, or whatever. So reading the room is just taking notice of people truly trying to see who they are first and then listen to hear. What I mean by that is we listen, but a lot of times I'm not hearing what you're saying because I'm listening about my grocery list. I'm listening to you, but I'm thinking about my grocery list, what you're wearing. Oh gosh, is the boss going to sit next to me? All these things. And I'm not hearing you. So really listen to hear, help people. That will help people feel seen. And then that helps me understand how to present myself, right? Especially if I don't know the room. Because if I can walk into a room and that room could be, okay, they're not going to like curse words. They're not going to like humor. Not that I have to shrink, just know my audience on how to adapt so they will receive me, the best of me, what the message I want to get across. That's what I try to do. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's great advice. I tend to do a very similar when I go into a conference, more of a networking. I may research a little bit, of course, know what the conference is about.
Sure.
But I also don't like to be biased.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Not all personalities will get along.
That's right.
And if I ask somebody, hey, this individual, they may give me advice or, they're not easy to get along with. They're not very friendly. They're very, passive. But then I like to go in not knowing that.
Sure.
And see how they interact with me. And
Absolutely.
it could just be a personality issue on the other end. But it's definitely like in a more formal setting.
Yeah, that you got to kind of understand a little bit before you walk in. I had a boss, I was going to have a boss in my career, and I got a lot of advice not to work for her. She was hard to work for, direct, and I'm like, I got to tune that out, right? I want to make my own opinion.
Right.
And I'm so glad I did. She was one of my favorite bosses. I learned so much from her. Was she direct and hold people accountable? Absolutely. But if you're doing your job and you were both open, we traveled the world together, literally to I think she challenged me around to 15 different countries. And we got to know each other personally too. And she was amazing. So I'm so glad I tuned out the noise of others' opinions.
Right.
Doesn't mean some of it might not be true when you're doing your homework, but don't make that the absolute. Right?
Well, I think that even goes for people who not necessarily you don't click with. It's just, my personality is not for everyone, and that's okay.
I say that. The magic of me is not for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why, in sales, it's I try to pair people up within my company with a customer who have very similar connection, because maybe I'm not the person for them to connect with, but maybe somebody else is.
Sure.
So you can't take it personally.
Nah, exactly.
So, on the topic of communication, what do you think separates influential leaders from just being a leader?
What separates influential leaders from just being your average leader and how communication plays a key? So when I was working in corporate America, I learned that I needed to be a leader that listened to my team or the client, whichever, fill in the blank, in a way that showcased their skills, their talents, what they wanted, what they were trying to achieve, and then communicate back to them what I heard, right? So adapting to understanding rather than trying to think what they want and need. And that's done through the art of communication. So communication is so hard, especially in relationships, but it's even harder, is just as hard in your job, right? Because people are picking apart every word you have, how you say it, your body language, we talked about this earlier, everything. So the leaders that are more influential are listening more than talking, right? Hearing and seeing their team. They are adapting their style, not their authenticity, their style to their team as well.
Or they should be.
They should be.
Yeah.
That's what an influential leader does. When you don't do that and you're constantly giving your own opinion and you're over talking people or you're doing all the talking, the team shuts down and doesn't want to contribute. They're just going to do what you said and they are not learning and growing. And as a leader, your job is to teach, not tell.
We were talking during the break, and we talked about a lot.
We did talk about a lot.
We started to talk about
Should have been recording all of that.
That was a good conversation.
Yeah, we had some good nuggets.
But we were talking about the tattoos, the nose ring, and just being ourselves.
Right.
There was one thing I was going to ask you, and I'm curious of your opinion. I felt that it's become more acceptable to have tattoos in corporate America, but maybe more for men than women still.
Interesting perspective. Why do you say that?
I feel, and I've seen and heard, it just seems that women are still supposed to be put in this box.
I can understand that. Yeah.
And I'm curious what you've seen and heard. What your opinion is.
I have a couple of thoughts here. There's 4 generations in the workforce now, and that's the first time ever, I believe, have 4 generations. So the boomers, Gen X, which is the best, by the way.
I agree.
Millennials and Gen Z. Okay. And the boomers, bless their heart, they've carried us this far. They've done amazing things. They're shifting. There's hardly any left in the workforce. There's still some, but they're less, right? Gen X is doing the same. We're starting to transition either into a latter part of our careers or into early retirement, or I call it graduation.
Or starting a podcast.
Or starting a podcast. I could say I graduated from my corporate job, not retired. Graduated to other things, that's all. So millennials and Gen Z are more adapting. They're more open, forgiving, understand, probably have more tattoos than the rest of us too. So I feel like it's a generational shift happening in the workforce, why it's becoming more acceptable. Because remember I said earlier, they also are more about be yourself. I should be able to have blue hair. Why does it just because I have blue hair doesn't mean I'm not smart? Or a tattoo means I'm less than, right? So they have that mindset already. So I think generations that are in the workforce now make a difference. To your point about it's bias between male and female, I think that's a societal thing that we still haven't gotten past. We still have men and some women I've seen put us in a box. You have to look this way. You have to act this way. And until we crack that nut on how to shift that mindset, it's going to continue. I believe it starts with how we teach. We talked about this, how we teach our children. So as a boy mom, I'm teaching my sons how to experience and how to be around women, and that a woman isn't less than.
Right.
So for example, if my son, and I remember one of my sons saying, well, Dad makes all the money. I did a double take on that. And I'm like, whoa. And I had to hold my shit together when he said it. And instead I asked a question. Help me understand why that is your opinion. And it was more of a societal answer than thinking less than me. So I had to explain to him, and my husband explained to him, no, your mother is my equal. In fact, we make, whatever. And so I think that we need to teach our next generations, not just thinking that a woman has to be X, Y, and Z, or a woman is less than a man.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of things I think we need to do more of for it to shift.
Well, and I think we are doing a good job in that, because these millennials and these Zers coming up, I think there is that shift.
Oh, for sure. But when you look at, I won't get political on you, but the news or politics or who's in office, complete opposite. Putting women down, putting them in their place, saying they're less than, that doesn't help.
Yeah.
So we have to combat that in our own village, in our own world, and make sure that we're saying there's a different perspective, and let me tell you what it is.
Yeah, and talking about teaching our boys, I we used to have practice dates when my kids were little,
Cute.
and they would have to get me flowers.
Or like cotillion, yeah.
Yeah, and they would like show up at the door,
love it.
and then they would pull the chair out for me
I
at dinner,
love
and it was
it.
just like a practice day because
Yeah.
I wanted them to know how to treat a lady.
Absolutely.
So this is ladies act like a lady too.
Yeah.
But like so, men treat your lady as she deserves,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh, my kids throw it back on me now. Well, about equal opportunity, you don't want to be
Yeah.
that. I'm like, it's all about respect, right? And I think the other way to teach our children or other people is how you show up, to role model. So when my children see me in an environment where I'm showing up authentically with kindness, with command of the room, if you will, with intelligence, working hard as a female, they're seeing it. So role modeling it helps a lot as well.
absolutely, and
Yeah.
and I've had to talk with my boys, and you know, if you and your wife decide that she wants to stay home and be a caregiver,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
that's the right thing for
Yeah.
you. But a woman can make the higher salary and they can be a stay-at-home mom. It's
Absolutely.
whatever works in your situation.
Stay-at-home moms, let me just say right now, should be paid by the government. This is what I
Yeah.
think. They work hard, tirelessly. The job doesn't end. And if you think about the amount of skill sets they have, project manager, doctor,
Yeah.
counselor, interior designer. I mean, oh my gosh.
It's interesting you bring this up. I'm gonna go off on a tangent here for a minute because this is something that you're from HR and in a previous
My entire career is HR, yeah.
So I always felt like when a woman, takes off some time to care for her kids in those younger years and comes back into the workforce, there's this huge gap
Sure.
in her resume. There's so much more that went on just in that gap. She became a project manager. She was conflict resolution. And I just feel like, and I don't know if there's an answer, but somehow that's got to count for something.
I actually coach women because I will have women that say, well, I took some time off and I don't know how to articulate that gap. And I'm like, why is it a gap? To your point.
Exactly.
It's not a gap.
You've learned so much.
So we pick apart what you did, how you did it, why you did it, and then how for them to state that in a way that comes across with confidence, for one, that she has to believe it. And then secondly, that there was a lot of learning going on there, and that is transferable skills into the new career.
No, I love that.
Absolutely.
Because I've been saying that for a while. And even when it comes to promotion, they may have both been in the industry for 15 years, but she took off 3 years to be home.
Yeah.
But she learned different skills during that. But the other one, he didn't have to take off work
Sure.
to
I'm
be
seeing that
home.
too.
How do you articulate that if he has more time? But maybe, she had that
Well,
little
it comes
bit of gap.
back again. Let's take it back to authenticity. Yeah. That woman that I tried to, I would be coaching on, it wasn't a gap. You were still learning skills, doing something extremely important, and that can translate into future roles. She's got to own that, feel confident in it, and stay true to her values, which is what authenticity is. And her value was to care for the family or be a trailing spouse to support her husband and her family. And during that time, she fill in the blank. So it does come back to being authentic, because authenticity is about being true to your values.
I love that. And I wish we would have talked to you years ago. I mean, that's just so important. And I've been surprised that not more people have talked about it.
Because it's taboo, because society is like, well, if you take time off, you're not doing anything. I just listened to a short snippet on Instagram, when you're doom scrolling. And it was a man explaining how women are the stronger gender physically. And he walked through childbirth.
Oh,
and then he walked through, and all the things that go on with that. And he had numbers and percentages. And then he walked through, okay, now she'd not only just pushed a baby out and did all these things, now she's sleep deprived and she's feeding another human being. And he just walked it through, and he's like, we've got to mindset shift that we are a lesser species. And I'm not putting anything on men, because sometimes women bash men as well, and women bash women. We need to stop the bashing and see each other as people and what value they bring and how they are owning and caring for their values. That is key.
Speaking of kind of bashing of the genders, one of our first talks again, I mentioned male dominated.
Yes.
And you said, let me just correct you on that.
Yeah.
And what did you say?
Yeah, well, I learned this. I was in the Positive Energy campaign. They did a short kind of video, and they're trying to teach society about the positive sides of energy, the oil and gas industry. And they interviewed women in a male-dominated industry, which is oil and gas. And one of the women that was interviewed, her name's Kat, I forget her last name, but when I listened to her snippet, she said, I'm going to correct you right now. I don't work in a male-dominated industry. I work in a male-populated industry. Now, the Julie add to that was because no man's going to dominate me. Okay?
Yeah.
Reason why that is so brilliant, not what I said, but what she said, is in your female mind, if you say domination, being dominated, that's making you feel smaller, less than. If men hear that, they're like, oh yeah, I am dominating. It's putting this perception out that is wrong. But you put in your mind it's just populated with men. I don't feel smaller. I don't feel less than. A man or other person hearing it doesn't think I'm less than because it's just population.
Right.
So different. And that's why it's so important to have the right words in your mind as well.
And you're right. It shifts your mindset.
Big time. So I attribute the first part of that to Kat. The second part of no man's going to dominate me. That's just my sarcasm coming
I heard
out.
that. I was like, yeah,
I've
I
said
got to
it
have her on the
before
show. Got to have her
in front
on.
of my husband, and he's like, really? Do you have to add that? I'm like, yeah, I do. Because I'm being me.
There you go. You're being yourself.
Did I offend you? No. Okay, then.
Yeah. So recently you had what you call the alignment experience.
Yes, it was great.
And I want you to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Again, we were talking at break. We talk a lot about on breaks. And I think it's wonderful for women early and even even later career. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's actually what I found about being, well, I love women, first of all, and my whole hope is to help women, as many as I can, really step into themselves confidently, right? But what I've found is women, they'll say and it's usually mid to late career, okay? Not always, but usually, that they say, there's this nudge, I feel stuck, I don't know what's happening, I don't know why, I can't name it, or I thought success would feel better. I mean, there's a lot of fill in the blank there, right? But I found it's not that you are stuck, you're just misaligned. And what I mean by that is we as women do all the things. And the last person on our list is ourselves. And we're not doing the work to better understand our value, our impact, what we value, what our jam is, what success looks like in our eyes, not society's eyes. And so when we do that, we get so stuck and maybe we get complacent, maybe get comfortable. I was very comfortable in my corporate job. Cushy job, a lot of money, been there a long time. I knew my shit, all the things. But I wasn't stuck. I was misaligned with who I was becoming. And so the alignment experience is double clicking, deeper diving, whatever words you want to use, into that. How do you get aligned? What is that experience like so that you are living in the way that feels more natural to you? And it creates this blueprint for you, this North Star, if you will. So every time you're making a decision, you ask yourself, am I making that decision from who I was or who I'm becoming? Because the woman that you were got you here, needs your gratitude, okay? But some of that gets taken forward with you. Some of it you need to release so that you can learn how to align and move forward to who you're becoming. And that's where the alignment experience comes from and what we talk about. And I'm having a couple more this year in Houston. Sorry, they're in Houston. I might do a couple virtual too, but the experience is so much better in person, right? Because part of that is connecting with others too, and learning how, bringing it back to your topic for this episode, how to be authentic to yourself and know what that means and how it feels and what it looks like and what presence is.
And so you are a career coach?
I am a women's coach.
Women's coach, okay. I didn't know if it was career coach or...
Generally, we talk about careers.
Okay. And...
I just don't want to be put in a box.
No, I like that.
Pun intended there.
But do you help people like find their passion, or how do you lead them to be aligned?
So I think every woman knows the answer, their answers. It takes a coach or someone to just ask the right questions to get out the information that's deep inside of you that maybe you haven't asked, or you know is there and you push down really far because you're doing all the things. So what I coach on is how to get and peel back those layers around your value, around your worth. What is your brand? What is your purpose? How do you connect with others? How do you contribute and help other women? But how do you give? What is your impact? And deeper diving in all that, I wouldn't say I help them find it. I help them understand it because it's there. And then they can walk into that next chapter or who they're becoming more confidently.
Yeah, and I will even say from a personal experience, and I'm not sure I'm fully aligned yet, but I think I'm on my way there.
Good.
And that, you know, I was in biotech, I was a teacher, but when I truly started talking to people, and I really kind of found my jam there, and I was excited to be out there and doing what I do.
It's awesome.
And then now I tell people all the time, the podcast is one of the best things I've done because I'm just enjoying it so much.
And then you know you're on the right path.
Because I meet great people and just hear stories.
And learn more.
Yes.
It's all about learning. So you're never going to be, alignment is an evolution, right? So my master class is about evolving to the woman you're becoming, right? So it's an evolution, right? And you keep learning and growing. The alignment piece is that North Star piece will help with that, but you're constantly evolving. Just think about, if you're a Gen X, we're around the same age, who you were in your 20s versus your 30s versus your 40s. You know, it's all, and now I'm in my 50s. I mean, I'm still me, but I've evolved over time. Yeah.
I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it because we're not explicit. So what advice would you give your younger self if you could go back to those 20s and 30s? Well, like I've always said, I would go back only if I could take the knowledge that I have now.
Oh, funny. But what would you tell her?
I would tell myself, don't listen to the criticism.
It's great advice. But what does she do when she hears it?
She leaves it.
No, but what advice would you give her to not? So it's one thing not to listen to it, but that's very vague.
That is true. It would probably just be, gosh, I don't know. There's always I always doubted myself so much, and still to this day.
So self-doubt, yeah. Be more self-trusting.
Yeah. Actually
doing a workshop on that later this month. But yeah, self-trusting so that when the bad, inappropriate, whatever you want to call it, information, data's coming in, that you're able to block and tackle.
Probably, yeah.
Be like Wonder Woman and let it deflect. Yeah. Or Mel Robbins, let you self-trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great advice.
But what about the 20-year-old Julie?
Ooh, she was cool.
I have no doubts.
She was doing a lot of dancing. There's a lot of, it was good times in my 20s.
I can only imagine if we would have met in our 20s.
We'd been in trouble a lot, probably. A lot of trouble. Good times, though. Good times. So I would tell 20 Julie to be more intentional about how I communicate rather than trying to always get my point across, right? Remember I told you my directness? I was confident in my thoughts, but be more intentional about it, right? Really think about what I'm trying to communicate. And that's both personally and professionally. There's a lot of learning going on in my 20s in both swim lanes there.
Yeah, I kind of feel like when I hit my 40s, I was maybe getting my
like,
act together a little
agreed.
bit.
Why do I have to wait so long, though?
No. I
That's
think
why
it's
I'm
because we
hoping
have so
these.
many things going on in our lives in the 20s and 30s.
Well, I think it's generational too. So I'm hoping to see these other ones get their shit together faster than us.
Yeah.
Because now in my 50s, swimming. I'm like loving it. Yeah.
I'm tapping on the door right there.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Oh, it's cool on this other side. Come to the club.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be there soon. So if you were to have the listeners take away a couple of things today, kind of what we call the hot takes.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you want them to take with them?
Ooh. Okay. Only a couple.
You can name as many as you want.
Being your authentic self is fine, but being a jerk is not. So decide how you want whoever you're being around, whatever you're doing, how you want that room to really receive who you are, but what you're saying. And if you have that mindset, the audience is really going to listen to you more and not judge as much. There's always going to be judgment, right? It just happens. And you do you, girl. Do you, but do it in a way that shows presence, in a way that feels comfortable to you, but others want to be around you. That goes for leadership as well. Yeah. I think I'll leave it at that.
One of the things just sitting here with you, and you came in, I was kind of like intimidated by you. I'm
Oh,
like,
no.
man, she's like, just seems awesome. Do you ever have that like self-doubt like creep in?
Oh, of course.
And
I'd be lying if I didn't.
And how do you like, what's your strategy or what do you do to put it in its place?
So there's a
Share a little bit of Julie
there's
Brain
an
there.
inner character in all our heads, right? You watched the movie Inside Out? Okay,
have.
so that is the best movie because those things are in your head. Those are emotions, though. But there's also an inner, some people call it critic. I call it character because she's not always criticizing me. She's just some kind of character up there. And I named mine, Penny Perfect.
Okay.
Okay? So Penny shows up at the worst times sometimes and creeps in probably daily. Okay? So showing up here today, I don't feel perfect because I mentioned to you a medical thing I had with my mouth, and it feels very off. So in my head, all I can feel is the pain and the discomfort and that it feels deformed. So Penny's going crazy in my head right now because I don't feel perfect. But I've learned how to have a discussion with her. Penny, nobody else sees what you see. Penny, does it really matter? Are they judging? Does it matter if they are? If I'm being myself and being good, kind, a good listener, all the things, stop. It doesn't need to be perfect. Today, did I prep for this? Absolutely I did, right? To make sure I have my thoughts aligned. But I don't have my notes in front of me. So now Penny's like, are you going to say the right things? Are you going to remember this? Are you going to remember that? But it's about having a conversation with that voice in your head to quiet it down. Or sometimes I tell her to get to the back of the bus, like, go somewhere else right now. But when you allow that voice to be loud, then the self-doubt creeps in. I have to trust myself that I don't need to be perfect. And there's no way to be perfect, by the way, right? Perfection is a myth. So progress over perfection, showing up authentically over perfection, all better than trying to think to be perfect. So yes, I do have self-doubt. And then I have all kinds of questions why you were intimidated by me, when I walked in.
No.
Because
you walked in with confidence, which I want to learn from that.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to walk in confidence.
4-inch heels help.
What is it?
4-inch heels.
Okay.
So being in a male-populated industry, being blonde, being short, all the things, I wore 4-inch heels my entire 30-year career. People did not know how short I was until maybe one day I took my shoe off for whatever reasons. They're like, oh my God, you're so short. But it sounds weird, but the 4-inch heels gave me a little bit of boost of confidence to stand taller, put my shoulders back, right, into the room differently. I'm not telling everybody to wear 4-inch heels, and I'm not saying it's the only reason why I have confidence, but it does give me a tangible physical thing that helps. the other thing is confidence comes from actions. So the more I walk in a room with confidence, the more confident I get. The more I own and understand and I'm aligned, the more confident I get because I'm taking action in that space. Yeah.
And then I got to know you. I'm like, well, she's using it as fabulous as she is confident coming in the door.
Yeah,
So
I'm not this crazy woman that's going to attack you. Hell no. I'm going to have a drink with you. We're going to hang out.
sounds good.
I love it.
So, well, thank you so much
thank
for joining
you.
me today.
Love the
I learned a
conversation.
lot, and I'm sure the listeners have as well.
Love the
And
conversation.
I
Love
look
what you're
forward
doing.
to having you back in the future.
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. And you were doing phenomenal.
Thank you.
You're doing good work, and I'm so glad that you're following what you want to do, your North Star.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
thank you, everyone, for listening to the O&G Spot.